What's up guys, Jay Cutton from Fitness Culture. Today we're going to be talking about another advanced training technique, the rack pull. So the rack pull is a great variation of the deadlift, and the reason that I like it the most is that it's going to help you with neurological adaptation, which is going to be basically getting that super heavy weight in your hands and getting your central nervous system used to the weight. That's where I see the most benefit using this as an advanced training technique, but it's also good to work on your sticking point. So you can kind of set the rack up to wherever you feel like your sticking point is in the deadlift and really work that area to blast through that plateau, get through that sticking point and get stronger in that area. So we're gonna just cover the setup of the rack pull, how to do it, and give you a couple technique tips. All right guys, so the first thing that we're gonna cover is how to set up for a rack pull. And obviously it's called a rack pull because you're gonna set up using the rack. And basically by using the rack, you can set it up anywhere above the ground on your shin level. So if you wanna work a sticking point, you can set it up lower. I usually set it up right at my knees or basically right below my knees because that's where I can really pull the heaviest weight and really maximize the amount of weight that I use on this to really force that neurological adaptation, get my body used to pulling heavy weight. So when you get back to the floor, it feels lighter in your hands. So you can set it up in a rack like we have here, or you can set it from the blocks and it's gonna give you the same effect, right? The biggest mistake that I see on the rack pull is when people set up, you really wanna focus on really setting into the bar. So you're gonna grab the bar, set yourself up. So I like to use a lot of tension on the bar, pull the slack out of the bar, and then try as hard as you can to basically almost think about getting your shoulders behind the bar, because that's gonna give you leverage on the bar. And the more that your shoulders are over the bar, the more you're gonna be using your low back. And really, at the end of a deadlift, you're really gonna wanna try to, right from that pull off the ground, you wanna think about driving your feet into the ground and getting your shoulders behind the bar, because that's gonna give you leverage on the bar and it's gonna make it so the bar doesn't start drifting out in front of you. Sometimes a lot of people will get sloppy in the setup and get their shoulders over the bar, right? So it's gonna be a lot harder that way. There's gonna be a lot more pressure on your low back and you're not gonna have your body's leverage on the bar. So make sure you're setting up with your knees literally touching the bar, and then you wanna think about pressing your armpits right into your hip pocket. So drive your armpits in your hip pocket, get your chest up, and then you're really gonna grind that weight right up your thighs and then bring it back down. So the bar should be riding up. You can definitely use more than your 1 rep max on this, and that's why it's such a good training tool. I usually do use straps because it allows me to get more volume in with heavier weight, but if you don't use straps, this is a great training tool if you're having issues locking out a deadlift and your grip's the issue, right? So it's gonna allow you to use really, really heavy weight, get your grip used to that weight, and just work that last in range of motion while working your grip. So there's gonna be less time under tension on your grip, but allowing you again to basically work your central nervous system, feel what it feels like to have that weight in your hands, and also work your grip with weights that are heavier than your 1 rep max. All right guys, there's a bunch of different ways that you could program rack pulls into your training sessions. The way that I like to do it to maximize my time in the gym is to add them on top of my heavy deadlift day. So let's say it's Monday and I'm deadlifting heavy that day from the floor. I'll usually finish my deadlifts from the floor, then I'll set up the rack and then continue to go heavier. So it's probably not the best way to go as heavy as possible on the rack pulls, but since you're already going heavy, going to that partial range of motion is gonna allow you to just keep building upon that deadlift day. And usually I'll add about 5 sets of 3 after my pulls from the floor, from the rack, and then just keep going heavier, hopefully going over my 1 rep max to the day, getting some super heavy weight in my hands, and then just building upon it that way. As I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial on how to utilize rack pulls into your training. If you want to click a link in our description, we give you a full training day on how we would program it into a day. And if you are having trouble with your deadlift, we also made a video on how you can utilize a deficit deadlift through a 12-week progression. So if you want to click that video right here to check that out, it'll give you a full 12-week progression. And as always, if you like this content, please give me a comment on what you guys would like me to cover next, and you can click right here to subscribe to the channel. Thank you.